So first up, a team with the pressure of history on their shoulders.
Well, for American Magic, it's been a long haul to get to this moment. Technically, they're a new team, but well-funded and no excuses. And based on the last few weeks of practice racing, they're also a team full of confidence. The afterguard of Dean Barker and Terry Hutchinson will always have a microscope on them, but they've put together a talented supporting cast full of young rookies and seasoned veterans. So far, so good. Like all the other sailors in this regatta, they're just happy to finally be getting this show on the road.
Well, Terry, the 15th of January, it's finally here. I mean, it's been a date fully etched in the calendar for the last 3 years. How ready do you and the team feel?
I think we feel very ready. You know, we've spent a lot of time from the Mule through Defiant to Patriot on the water, learning and developing, and from here, it's time to put all that work to good use.
Facing Patriot will be Britannia.
Ineos Team UK is a new team led and backed by Ineos founder and chairman Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Sir Ben Ainslie, a previous America's Cup winner and the most successful Olympic sailor of all time, is team principal and skipper, and he's back again for another attempt to win this elusive trophy. There is no secret that this team underperformed in the America's Cup World Series racing in December, having not scored a race win to date. But that was last year, and the real race for the America's Cup begins today.
Giles, just to start, can you tell us, how many races you have today, and how does that affect how the team approaches it?
Yeah, well, we've got 2 races today. We've got the Americans and then Luna Rossa. So it's well, we're up for it. We've had a tough time of it, and we've made some big improvements, and we hope that'll show today.
Well, the first day of the Prada Cup is being raced on Course C, the stadium course, right outside Auckland Harbour. The boats entering the starting area at 2 minutes and 10 seconds before the start, and then literally fly around an upwind, downwind 1.8-mile racetrack with super narrow course boundaries. This certainly keeps the tactics and maneuvers fast and furious. And in this first race, the boats will go 3 laps around with a downwind finish and a 12-knot southerly breeze.
And as we come over Rangitoto, the youngest of the volcanoes in this Auckland region, we see the course, and most importantly, we see the spectator craft as well. And out amongst all of that is Shirley Robinson, our onboard chase boat one, Shirley. Crowd out there, and boy, today is all about winning.
Stephen, it is a very different day out here. You can feel the tension. I mean, not just within the teams, but also the fans lining the course. Course C, the stadium racetrack. They're here to support their team. And for the New Zealanders amongst them out watching to check out what the challengers have brought to this whole thing when it really matters. I mean, Stephen, we've all done a lot of talking over the past few weeks, haven't we? And much as I love chatting with you guys, it's finally time, isn't it, for the talking to stop? And what a way to kick off on so many levels. American Magic against Ineos Team UK. Terry Hutchinson's Patriot against Ben Ainslie's Britannia. This is a grudge match, 170 years in the making. So buckle up, folks, because the Prada Cup is about to get real.
Prada Cup round robin race 1, and there you have it, American Magic against Ineos Team UK. Doesn't get too much better. The history linked between those 2 countries, where it all began 170 years ago. Light winds at the moment, Ken and Nathan, but the most encouraging thing, we're talking about light air, and we look to the right of the screen, Ineos Team UK, and they're foiling okay in light air.
This has been their struggle. This has been their Achilles heel through all the practice racing, and the World Series event is getting up on their foils in the light air and staying on those foils in the light air. It looks like to be about 10, 11 knots of breeze out there, Nathan, and that should be enough to get them going, plus the improvements that they've made so far.
Yeah, definitely enough breeze for foiling, looking at it right now. And both boats have made quite a few changes since we last saw them in racing. And, you'd have to think Ineos Team UK, with this breeze up over 10 knots, is going to be a much competitive team.
Yeah, Shirley, you've been watching the teams warm up and get ready for this opening race of the Prada Cup. And let's talk quickly about Ineos Team UK. Do you have a good feeling of what you're seeing at the moment as they dial in?
Well, Stephen, it's a tricky course. Up at the top of the course, there's plenty of breeze for foiling. We've seen 15, 16 knots. And the British team will be loving that, but down at the bottom, it can be quite patchy. And I think, you know, they need to be so careful not to fall off the foils, particularly in that pre-start.
The one thing we did see, and we were fortunate, lads, to see the practice races earlier on, and the confidence in the British team is high. That will count for a lot going into race one.
It's high, but I think it's fragile, right? You can talk the talk, but now you got to walk the walk. They're saying we're better, we're better, we're better, we're better. Nathan, they haven't won a race yet in any of the racing that we've seen, practice racing or otherwise, and they've made tons of changes to their boat. Putting that all together is not easy. I mean, goodness, I think it's fragile. I think they need to win a race here today.
Yeah, totally agree. They're getting closer, and you can hear confidence in their voices in the practice racing that we've witnessed earlier this week, but we also hear the frustration when they're not converting this improved boat speed. You know, the sailors are now being given a tool that's actually going to be competitive, and it's up to them to really race it well.
New rudders, elevators, masts, mainsail, headsails, aero mods to the hull. They've done everything that they can to try and get themselves going. As we take a look at Ben Ainsley run around to the starboard wheel and get ready for, they will take the starboard entry today. 2 minutes and 10 seconds will be port entry for American Magic. As the countdown clock comes on, they'll go pretty close to that 2 minutes and 10 seconds as they, a little bit behind, but they are into the starting area.
This is really exciting. we've been just sitting there chatting away, speculating for so long. Now it happens. Now it's for real.
Put it down my wheel. Your wheel. Clear in 2, 1. Anywhere you like. Line square.
Nathan, this starting procedure has really become more complex. The box itself that they have to stay within the boundaries is small. They have to do multiple maneuvers, and the upwind starts have clearly brought actual match racing back into play.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the starting box isn't big enough. The area that they can play in inside the boundaries is not big enough in the stronger breezes to do a full lap. You can see American Magic here getting quite close to that right-hand boundary, and they're trying to stay inside the boundaries. They're trying to make sure that they can set themselves up for a good start today. But the boundaries you saw there earlier, potentially not effectively accurate there. You can see the spectator fleet is further out, but right now, Ineos is going to tack inside here. No, they're going past, so they're going to go into a pushing position. We'll just listen to the chat as they approach for the final time.
Moving out on the breeze here. Okay, going forward. On the breeze. Trim on, boys, trim on. Main on. My pitch. Trim on. Yeah. Nice man. Your wheel. I want to get high. We're killing 5 here.
So Ainsley obviously thought that American Magic was early. He chose to go behind, and now they're going to push towards the line as hard as possible.
Still killing 5.
Less than 30 seconds to start of the
Still got us
Prada
killing
Cup
4
in
now.
2021 on the Hauraki Golf in Auckland, New Zealand, home to the 36th America's Cup.
Still killing your wheel. My wheel. Happy down the line here, Ben? Yeah, happy. Okay, it's coming down here, Ben.
10 seconds to start.
Building now, full speed now.
Start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Be on.
And it's on. Prada Cup, round robin run, race 1. American Magic against Ineos Team UK, and they are both away clean.
The most important drag race of Ineos's young career here so far. Are they competitive in this wind strength? We're going to find out pretty quick.
They're going to approach this boundary very quickly, and as they approach the boundary, American Magic being the leeward boat are going to have right of way to tack on the port tack, so expect both boats here soon to be tacking onto port, and it looks like the intersection is going to be inside the zone, which gives the right of way to American Magic.
Again. Okay, hip breeze. Coming up. I will. Okay.
Shirley Robinson on the water. Good start by both teams.
Great start, was so even, Stephen. But American Magic seemed to have the slight edge, just really pushing and pushing Ineos, and eventually they had to tack.
One telltale sign here is Ineos is actually, they've struggled to get up and going in the light air, and they've been sailing with bigger jibs all the time because of that. Today, they actually, for the first time we've seen, they have a smaller jib up than their competitor. I find that really,
Pressure is solid
I find
all
that
the
a
way
good
here,
sign for them.
Copy that.
Copy. Pretty right-hand shift. You don't want to take it.
Work effort. That's nice there on numbers.
It looks like Ineos is going quite quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they clearly made an effort in the pre-start to not engage, to keep that wide right position to windward, and maybe they're wanting to protect the right-hand side of the course, but right now they are going fast and high.
Well, this might become as a surprise maybe to some people watching around the world, but I wonder what the chat is like on American Magic right now.
Thanks, Lefty.
You're going to pick up good left-hand pressure here.
He's showing better time, you know, like he's just hanging there, south forward. Should be well across. One length.
It's open course now, so there's no boundary protection for us if we go now. They roll at the same time.
His light on.
Yeah, so we've got room to dip him, right?
Yeah, there's no dip.
No dip, copy.
Looks like they're going to get to ley line here, so a dip is not really an option for American Magic. Tack and tack is going to be my guess, or follow them in.
I will. Okay, crossing at 5. Race me on. Working your chance.
Surprised they didn't go further, all the way to ley line there, Nathan.
Nice left shift.
I think they must have got to that boundary a bit earlier than they wanted to. If American Magic can get to the boundary and make the top in one, they're going to save a tack, and they're going to have split tacks at the top and starboard advantage. Look at the Whitecaps. It's quite windy at the top of the course here.
So is that wind, do you think, Shirley, or is that current affected? Is the current against the breeze up there causing that little chop?
Do have to give them space.
No, Kenny, the tide is outgoing for all of today, so it's wind. It's so much windier at the top end of this racetrack. Ineos got into it first with a lovely right-hand shift, and we saw them really gain in that.
He's on ley line.
And how about this, Ineos Team UK fans? Ineos Team UK on the first of 6 legs will round the top gate first, followed closely behind by American Magic. If anyone thought Ineos was going to have trouble, think again. It truly is game on in the Prada Cup.
I think they like that right-hand side of the race course the whole time. The way they set up on the starting line meant they wanted the right always. And you know what? Around that hill area out there, as you approach the harbor entrance, it always seems to be an advantage in the upper right-hand side of the race course.
Pressure, even.
Hitting us now, just holding 3. Yeah. Get to come back here, buddy.
It's
Okay, settling it down here, boys.
Ineos
Yeah,
Team
36s.
UK.
Nice. Okay, speed's coming, 40s. Yeah. Okay, nice there. Still a... Copy. Pressure looks good here, Giles. Left shift. Yeah. Try and get it ripping a bit here, Giles. Easing a touch here. Okay, have to work it up here. Little up, mate. Nice.
This has been a position of strength for American Magic through this whole game so far, is downwind speed. But again, I think this side of the race course that the Brits are on right now is that right-hand side, or the bottom of our screen as we're looking at it now, seems to be an advantage. Big advantage.
It should come as no surprise to those that are seeing this maybe for the first time, because we have had the privilege of seeing the Christmas races and the World Series and the practice races. When this boat we are seeing right now, Rita or Britannia, when that gets going, that is one of the quickest boats in this America's Cup.
But they've found a way to, frankly, they've found a way to lose every race so far they've been in, every single practice race. So we're not giving them any grief where grief isn't due. They've struggled so far. This is a really, really big moment for this whole program and all the effort that's gone into getting this boat competitive.
They are cranking it close to 40 knots, Ineos Team UK, and look at the advantage they have on American Magic.
But also, if you look at this overhead shot, it looks graphically, it's so much windier down that right-hand boundary. You know, that north head If you are looking upwind on the right-hand side of the course where American Magic are jibing here right now, it looks windier on this side and the other side looks lighter. And I think not only is Ineos started well, held their lanes, but they actually used the breeze better, and particularly on this downwind run, they've had better pressure this whole run and they're extending.
I have to get this out of the way early in the piece here. Looking and seeing the wind. Is it the shadows seeing pressure on the water? Is that telling us that you're seeing wind?
Dark water.
Dark water.
Darker water, more wind.
Dark patches, and we don't just make that up. You would think we did, but we just
No, no, I know you're not making it up.
39 knots, 2 or 1 board round up. 1 board, 10 seconds. Copy.
Ineos Team UK about to complete leg number 2 of 6.
3,
and this is the bottom
1,
gate.
turning up.
They'll drive around that and head up for leg number 3 against American Magic. And right now, as we head to the halfway point of this opening race of the Prada Cup, they look strong. Keep your eye on the bottom right of your screen. Look at the difference and the lead that they have on American Magic. Right now, it'll stop very soon, and it stops out at 19 seconds, so keep your eye on that number.
And a terrible bottom mark rounding by American Magic. Looked like a big touchdown and leeway skid. We heard Ben Ainsley talk about their bottom mark rounding of a leeway skid, but American Magic is worse. And a couple of unforced errors here. That's probably the first boat handling unforced error, but tactically they're not sailing fantastically at the moment either.
One word comes to mind when you see a little moment like that in a big race like this: pressure.
Pressure's better higher, guys. Jimmy on. Coming up. Looking you up. Good breeze here. Jimmy on. Good pressure. Nice. Looking you up here, Ben. Yeah, coming up.
So, Ken, as we're going up the racetrack here, American Magic will be back on port tack now, heading to the right-hand side. It's Ben Ainsley and Giles Scott. What do you want to do here?
Well, if they can get back to the middle of the race course, we've seen a lot more match racing than we ever expected. So if they can get back to the middle of the race course with a little bit of runway to the right side of them, back towards the right side boundary, might be just a little too thin, right? You might have to give yourself a little more runway. You don't want to tack too many times. I think if it were Terry Hutchinson and Dean Barker, they would be tacking on the other boat right now. But right now, I don't know. A little tight for multiple maneuvers here, Nathan, for my liking. Back to the middle of the race course for Ineos, so they made me look semi-smart on that one. It's hard to make me look smart, but that's semi-smart. Really smooth maneuvers so far, don't they? With the tacks and jives, nothing in it for the way I see it right now.
Yeah, I guess it's a balance of how aggressive you are to race the other boat versus how much you want to sail your own race on the breeze and the course geometry. You know, if they tack directly on American Magic, they'd hit the boundary too early and an extra tack, whereas they probably looked at it and thought, if we tack here, we stay in check, and maybe we can still make the top mark with 1 tack to go.
Shirley, you've got a close-up view of how Ineos Team UK are faring right now.
It looks a different boat to what we're used to seeing, doesn't it, Stephen? I mean, and they're that confident. They've, as Nathan said, they've been sailing their own race here. They've just been, you can see the big puffs of breeze dropping, and they're just sailing into the puffs, joining them together, and eventually getting to this top right-hand corner where it is so breezy.
Ben Ainsley has said, we do love breeze. He says, we still don't know about light here, but we, quote, need to be competitive across the whole wind range.
Okay, I'm ready. 2-1 board down.
Huge sign that they have a smaller jib on than their competitor. We just literally haven't seen that. They've struggled. They've really worked to have to create power. And obviously, something has changed dramatically that they get the switch down.
Okay, working you up.
We'll have a look at their foils here. Remember in December they were red. and now their foils there, they're black. So surely that's not just a paint job change. Surely they've done a little bit more than just getting out the black spray paint and saying, well, this should make us go quicker.
I think we commit to that right turn.
You don't think it's just the color palette of the whole boat they're working with right now?
I think we can go 22.
Graphic designs makes the boat go faster, right?
You never know. You never know.
Let's have a little listen to Giles and Ben discuss his top mark approach.
So maybe a lefty on the bows. Yeah. Watch it, little light out past this bullet, lads. Show me on that. No lower for red. Okay, copy. Ley line on the box is in 5. Okay, setting up. Crossing. My pitch. Yeah. Ready. 2, 1. Board down. Bit lighter out of this. Copy. Yeah, good. Easy on tremblers for a sec. Yep. Okay. On. Good on flap now. My wheel. Yeah, you got it. Main on. All the way up. Up a touch here. Yep. Okay, coming away. 3, 2, 1. Coming down. Easy. My wheel. Your wheel. Okay.
Halfway through the opening race in the Prada Cup 2021 between Ineos Team UK and American Magic. Remember, at the end of leg 2, the gap was 19 seconds.
Yeah, we're okay. We're okay. Yeah.
Wow, this is, it looks like out of phase here for American Magic too. They're coming back, their angle coming back toward this gate was not good. So this is a struggle getting worse right now for the Americans. Another tap.
American Magic finally get around and complete leg number 3, but the gap to Ineos Team UK has blown out to 47 seconds.
Wow, it's right. We may, for those of you following America's Cup, we may sound quieter than usual because I think we're all a little bit in shock. Although, you know, when the day I went sailing with American Magic, Terry told me he is very fearful of this British group, and I was kind of thinking, just saying that, you know, but obviously they might have known something.
Let's take a look at how quick Ineos Team UK are rolling right now, sitting around 41 knots, going downwind. I mean, let's be honest, this is the fastest ever America's Cup.
Well, if you just look at the race to this point so far, they wanted the right-hand side clearly as a race tactic. So they took the right in the start. They've protected the right the whole way around. This right-hand side. So the right-hand side, as I was saying, has been strong. North head, breeze is funneling down that side. They haven't once let American Magic get to that side. So they're obviously fast enough to be in the race, and they've been positioning themselves well. And just listen to the conversation on board. It sounds so confident.
When they use the word lads a lot, that means I think they're composed. That's my trigger word on board. You know, they're happy and they're having fun. Yeah, there's something to be said for that. It's easy to have fun when you're winning too, by the way.
Happy. 2, 1, more down. Turning.
They made it quite clear that the gap between the World Series prior to Christmas in 2020 and to the start of this particular time was invaluable with the amount of change that they made. But as you have said to us before on many occasions, you both have said, this is still about development. They are developing as every race goes, but this is almost like a lightning bolt development we're watching unfold.
But Ben said in the press conference yesterday, they changed almost everything. So let's keep that into consideration.
Okay, 2, 1, board down. Okay, good. Turning up. Got some negative there.
47 seconds was the gap after leg 3. Now we're going to find out what it's like after leg number 4.
They are some kind of confident. That's about as hard a maneuver as it gets that they just pulled off right there.
I'm sorry, guys, but is anyone else thinking they've been sandbagging until today?
You went there.
But check it out. It's unbelievable what we're seeing here. We've been talking all summer, all Christmas about what is going on here. You know, we've been saying, how are they so far behind? And then they're just coming out and just being dominant. Like, where did this come from? Do you think they're surprised as much as we are?
I do. Yes. I mean, yeah, they changed the mast, the sails, the foils, the rudder. They changed everything, absolutely everything, except for maybe their clothes. I'm not so sure.
American Magic complete leg number 4 of 6. 1 minute and 8 seconds. It's blown out from 47 seconds, which was at the completion of leg number 3. And Ineos Team UK, that boat on screen right now is quite simply flying, Shirley Robertson.
Well, Stephen, I know talking to the Ineos team, there's still some concerns about sub 30 knots in wind speed. But goodness, they've made such an improvement in this medium range. They are flying and they are confident. As Kenny said, there is hardly a piece of that boat left. In 3.5 weeks, they have changed everything. The same foils, just slightly adapted, same foils that they had pre-Christmas. We're looking at them now, but also, you know, the whole rig really different. And to me, the rig just looks more powerful, more adaptable, and they're sailing like they're fast.
Shirley, does this come as any surprise to you?
Not really. I mean, this is the game, Stephen, isn't it? Every day, just move it forward, and I think there'll be more to come, not just from this team, but all of them. And they have, you know, some of the best technicians and smarts in the business, every team. And so in 3.5 weeks, they can achieve a lot, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
Nice.
Man, this makes our job easier. When everybody's in the game, I mean, how would you pick? How would you pick this? First of all, you couldn't. And secondly, this whole series is wide open right now. This is going to make for a fascinating 4 or 5 weeks. I can tell you that. My goodness.
Terry Hutchinson was asked a question about Ineos Team UK, and he was quite circumspect. He says, believe nothing. Believe nothing. They are a very, very strong team, and we are very aware of what we're up against. But I don't think they expected to be 1 minute and 8 seconds behind at the end of the 4th leg.
They're just playing their own race course here too, Nathan. They're very clearly just a small check-in with the boat behind you from time to time, but they're connecting the dots on this race course, which are the dark patches, as good as you can.
Good breeze. Ball coming. Right pitch. Okay. What's your name?
They're very calm on board, aren't they? You know, they're having good conversations. They have a pretty good head. Giles just said right turn again. They've found the geometry and they just want to follow it round. So we'll just follow their chat here. But
it'll be a little hold before the bear away though, right, Ben? Yeah, well, slightly softer patch here. Main on. Yeah, be about 8 seconds out of this tack. Nice there. A little softer here. Okay, set up, let's crossing. Might go pitch. Okay, ready? 2, 1, board down. You're good. Turning. Okay, soft patch. Holding for 5. Okay, go for this bear. 3, 2, 1. Bow down. Nice. Nice and gentle, nice and gentle. My wheel, I've got it. Okay.
And that is the last rounding of the gate as they head on the homeward leg. Ineos Team UK, Britannia is on the homeward run, and the yacht you can see in front of you is American Magic, yet to complete the 5th leg. I cannot wait to hear the onboard audio when Ineos, when they get to the finish line, and the relief and the joy at potentially, at this stage, because you're still going to say potentially, getting a first-up win on day 1 of the Prada Cup.
They're just sailing their own race. This is just a confident team that had a game plan, going back to the start, had a game plan to connect the dots on the race course. This puffy, shifty, in-harbor stadium course really lends itself to just playing the shifts, and that's all they're doing right now, and they're playing the shifts and the geometry beautifully.
American Magic for the final time in the opening race of Prada Cup Round Robin 1, Race 1. The top gate for the final time, and the gap has not changed. 1 minute and 8 seconds.
So they're not catching them back, are they? They're not coming back into them at all there.
It might have been a ley line.
Well, these two race days, Nathan, are tough because Ineos, they're going to have another shot at. So they lose a race, at least they got another shot to get in, to get a race win in. Americans got to stop at the end of this, and no more racing. And wow, shake it off. I mean, listen, we're early in the series. These are veterans. We've all won and lost races before. They're going to shake it off, no problem. But this has to be a bit of a shock.
This is a great story. Yes, Nathan suggests that was sandbagging, but this is a great story.
I'm not going with that. I'd just like to go on record right now. I am not of the sandbag mentality. But there's no way anybody has the guts to sandbag like that. That would be world-class sandbagging if that's what they were doing.
And the Christmas, not the Christmas race, but the World Series prior to Christmas of 2020, that boat there got close to 50 knots. We know it's been quick. They've just had to find the right mix of everything. On what we are seeing right now as they approach the finish, they're doing okay.
Just looking at the overhead shot, it's so clear. More pressure on one side than the other, and they've never even crossed the center of the course. That's how obvious it is.
Yeah.
Sticking to their game plan and sailing tactically really well.
Nice move. Okay, board up. High pitch. I will. Okay. Pressure going back in 3. Building here, 34s. A little light here, Bled. Yep. Okay. Coming on. Happy here. Yeah, he's good. Finishing
Ineos Team UK, they couldn't buy a win in the World Series pre-Christmas 2020, and they have come out in round robin 1, race 1 in the Prada Cup 2021 and annihilated one of the favourites, American Magic. Ineos Team UK win Prada Cup race 1 and get the first points on the board.
Main on. 2, 1, course. That's a better one. Okay, awesome job, guys. Well done, guys. Nice work, guys. Nice. Bloody good effort, that chat.
Unbelievable. I'm sorry. What a turn of events. Absolutely remarkable, and it gives you an idea of the development of these boats and how quickly you can go from zero to hero. And hey, now they got to do it all over again.
Well, if you're Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, watching this right there going, okay, chaps.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Well, at least they've got a good indication of what side of the course is favoured. So this next pre-start, there is going to be a battle. Unless the weather changes, there's going to be a battle to win that side of the course, that right-hand side of the course.
And a crazy battle, too, against 2 Jimmy Spittle, well, Ben Ainsley.
3 of them.
And Francesco Bruni as well, because it was elbows out for Spittle earlier this week. American Magic, they were 1 minute and 8 seconds behind at the penultimate mark. They will be further behind as they finish race 1 in the Prada Cup. The final margin, 1 minute and 20 seconds.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say not many people had that on their Prada Cup betting, you know, internal office pool, let's call it, their Prada Cup office pool. Not many people would have had the guts for that one.
Got to go onto the water for Shirley Robertson, because Shirley, that just stands out as a perfect way to start this Prada Cup.
Boy, did they need it. It's been a tough month, isn't it? And that's only what we know. I'm sure their battles were going on longer than that. And This team has worked night and day to get this performance today since we last saw them before Christmas. We got a glimpse of it earlier in the week in the warm-up racing, the practice racing. Ben Ainsley came out firing. It was like a pre-boxing match weigh-in. You know, he just came out all guns blazing, and I think, you know, he really felt then that he had a machine that could compete. And today, goodness, what a faultless race from this British outfit.
So final result, Ineos Team UK Sailing Britannia get the first win in the Prada Cup with a 1 minute and 20-second win against American Magic. It's on race number 2 of the Prada Cup with Sir Ben and his men.
Ineos Team UK started this program claiming that lessons learned from their last America's Cup effort would serve them well. Well, based on the results of race 1, maybe they're just late bloomers. A surprise victory for many, but I'm guessing not for this group. Off the schneid, and maybe it's time to get on a bit of a roll. The building breeze certainly helps their cause, and with a competitive British team, this Prada Cup is seriously wide open.
It could be argued, couldn't it, that you guys perhaps have the most to prove on the water. How hungry are you to make your mark today?
We absolutely have the most to prove. As I say, we were very disappointed with how things went last year. We feel we've made big improvements, and yeah, for sure, we want to start winning races.
Facing Ineos Team UK, the Italian challenge.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli are back again for another attempt to win this America's Cup. This will be their 6th attempt, having begun their quest back in 2000 competing here in Auckland. In a unique situation, helmsman duties are shared between Jimmy Spittle and Francesco Bruni. Jimmy on the starboard wheel, Bruni on the port, both incredible sailors with decades of America's Cup experience between them. The team looks ready, and I bet they can't wait to go racing.
Francesco, finally today it matters. Sailing fans around the world are keen to see what you've got. How confident is the Luna Rossa team?
I think Luna Rossa team is ready for the fight. We were really looking forward to the start of this, and finally we are there. I'm very excited about it, and I'm sure the whole team is.
So it's round robin race 1. Should I say round robin 1, race 2. Ineos Team UK, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Ineos Team UK on the left-hand side of your screen on board, picking up that first win against American Magic by 1 minute and 20 seconds. They got better and better as the race went on against a Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli team that is quick, but are the wind conditions going to suit?
14 knots of breeze out there on the race course, Stephen, and that's kind of that middle range that we all talk about. It's really interesting for the Prada team, and maybe we get Shirley's reaction. Cheryl, is the breeze building, dying? What are the trends?
Yeah, Kenny, the breeze is up a little bit. We've seen the British team change down a jib size, so smaller jib for this race. I've also seen them go up and down a couple of times. They're right back into it. And as the breeze has come in, I've also seen them checking that left-hand side. So maybe when I look to windward, it's more even as I look further up, but you would be wary, wouldn't you, to give anything away to North Head, to that right-hand side.
So Nathan, I know for a fact we watched the amount of effort that especially the grinders are expending out there. It seems that the trend has started to kind of unfold, that they're changing out somewhere between 2 or 4 people per race, bringing in fresh grinders and keeping that engine moving.
Oh, it's required. I remember when we were sailing in Bermuda, we were always changing grinders between races. The America's Cup boats, especially these ones, are very energy demanding, and you have to swap your grinders if you want to get maximum performance. And Ineos has already done a race, so they would have done a change here. They would get fresh arms under the handles. Luna Rossa would have been warming up all day, and they're going to have their start crew coming up, so that's a factor for sure.
I just wonder if you're Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli having to wait around and then be the second race. And does that play on the head at all or not?
No, you would have, listen, this is a mental game as much as a physical game. So you're mentally preparing for the time that you have to be. And by the way, this is a 3-lap race, and this is starting exactly on time. Well done to the people running the races, but they would have had that whole clock, that mental and physical clock going in their head for weeks now. They've known for a couple weeks now when they were starting this race.
All right, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. It'll be Ineos Team UK who will have the port entry, and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli representing the Socorro della Vella Sicilia Club.
Let's hear you say that one more time.
You want to say that again? Wait for it. Just wait for it. A little bit later in port entry, but then it will be Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli representing the Socorro della Vella Sicilia Club.
Wow, you are good.
Yeah, cross
But got to do it right is the question. As you can see,
Okay, good.
Luna Rossa, Prada Cup, twin helms. Coming out just a little behind, but now the Battle Royale, and this is what we've been looking forward to. Two guys, Nathan, or three helmsmen, that love to put their elbows out.
Well, I tell you what, if the right-hand side is as favoured as we keep talking about, both boats are going to be fighting to be windward boat. You know, the right-hand boat off the start. And Ineos already sort of sailing downwind away from Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. It's just listen on board and try and get a sense of what they're really focusing on to achieve in this start.
Downwind. Focus on the Cup racing many time there. He's a long way down the ladder, he is.
Just fantastic strategy. We're really gonna start to get a feel for the strategies. And this is not just, they're not just winging it out there, Nathan. They've talked about this strategy for a while, and they probably have a playbook as to which play they're gonna run.
5 seconds to pit lane. 1, 4 down. And turning.
Luna Rossa going to go around to Lord here, and they're thinking an easy hook. But man, that was a great attack by Ineos. This is a lot more combative than the last race.
Push, boys. There we go. Good check, man.
This is all about time and distance for Ineos right now. Are they on time for the line? If they are, they're in a dominant position. If they're not, they're a little bit vulnerable.
Under 30 seconds to start of race 2. Round robin 1 of the Prada Cup. You can see the clock. 20 seconds and counting to go.
Yeah, Prada's way late at this stage. Totally in control. Looks like a left-hand shift and in control by Ineos. Perfect timing to put themselves in this position and lead back.
A little further. 3, 2, 1, 4 down.
And they're away in race number 2 of the Prada Cup. And Ineos once again in a good position.
Not a good position, a great position. They led back when they had to lead back on this one. They realized they were probably going to be a little late for the starting line, and again with a smaller jib versus their competitor. So I think their efficiency, they think they're way more efficient at this stage.
I'm okay, lads. Copy that. It's good, mate. It's even. Left shift at the moment, so we're in phase here.
Holy, look at how much higher they're sailing off this camera. They are not just going faster. They've got better height, and they've forced Luna Rossa to tack already to the unfaded side. So, wow, that's impressive. It's very impressive. And it's windier on the right. You can see Luna Rossa going to the left. It's lighter on the screen over there. It's definitely less wind where Luna Rossa are heading.
So if we can hold that shot for a second, this is really light air. It looks to me on the water, much lighter breeze in that area. You can see a puff from the upper left-hand side of the race course, but for the most part, this is still a right dominant race course as we see from the helicopter.
Shirley Robinson on water for us, double Olympic gold medalist. If you're going to do it right, you might as well do it 2 times in a row.
Ben Ainsley bossed that start, didn't he? I mean, that was textbook. What a great start to this race, and has now control of the right-hand side. It's a good 3 or 4 knots windier. We're on the right-hand side. You're taking our shot at the moment. It's white horses over here, and it's flat to the left. So it's just going to get better and better. They're going to get richer and richer.
Intersection for the left
Wherever you are watching around the world, this is race number 2 of the Prada Cup 2021 on the waters of Auckland Harbour, the Hauraki Gulf, the Waitemata, and this is Ineos Team UK against Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli at the top left view of your screen, who are the challenger of record. And Ineos Team UK have already bagged their first win against American Magic.
Not as big of a gain as I was expecting, but I do expect them, there you go, to tack right on the face of Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. They have a strategy of protecting that right-hand side, and even though that time it wasn't a strong gain for them, right now you expect them to just slowly eke it out as they put disturbed wear on Luna Rossa.
Nicely in your dirt, happy BMG. Okay, BMG here, blitz. Sticking us a little bit.
Both are flying at similar speed, so they're both in good position.
Nicely in your dirt, you heard Giles Scott say, which means they think they were throwing disturbed air off of their sail plan onto Prada, and sure enough, they have to tack away and get out of it. That wasn't a tactical decision by Luna Rossa. That was absolutely just sailing in disturbed air, and good match racing move by Ineos.
Okay, crossing. 1, board down. Turning.
So high chance they're going to do a repeat of race 1 where they'll approach the top marks on starboard, make a tack, take the right-hand turn, and you know, that was a good gain for them every other race. So let's just listen in and see if that's their strategy again.
Going to come back through some light stuff. You got 10 seconds, Charles. Yeah, fine. 10 seconds on the other tack.
Not going slow on that red and black boat down there at the top of our screen, though. They're keeping it close, even if we think they're on the unfavored side of the course. They're not going slow.
See the speeds of both the boats on the bottom left of your screen.
Crossing. 2, 1, board down. That's course. Copy. Okay, 3.
Top gate for the first time, and once again for the second race in a row, it is Ineos Team UK leading on the downwind leg of 6. Let's check on the gap to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
2, 1, bearing away.
Yep, all clear, all clear.
And the clock stops at 15 seconds, so a similar margin to that they had on American Magic.
But not a great bear away there with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. We see them touch down. Just, we lost that picture, but both boats are heading to this boundary. Both boats are trying to go to this right-hand side of the course once again. But look at that lead, already 300 metres.
You know, one thing interesting thing that Dean Barker said in the interview after that first race was that they didn't do good enough job staying patient and keeping it close and looking for the right. They kind of forced the issue, but Prada is not doing. Luna Rossa is not doing that in this race. They're keeping it close. Wait for your opportunities. Don't try to find something that isn't there.
Really good point, Ken. You know, if you're splitting, you've got to have a good reason to split. Generally, the boat that's winning takes the favoured way around the track. They take the pressure, they take the shifts. If you're going the opposite way to them, a high chance you're going to be making a loss.
Some 40 knots being travelled by Ineos Team UK at the moment. If you want to know what that is in different speeds, that's around 46 miles an hour or 74 kilometres an hour, whatever country you use those numbers for. That's pretty quick on the water.
Put your head out the window in a rainstorm on the way home, Stephen, in your car, and you'll have a pretty good feel for what these guys are going through.
Yeah,
a lot of bugs in your teeth.
We're okay going back to lay here. There's the left shift at the moment, and the pressure is okay. Yeah. Copy. I think we just milk this out as much as we can. Very nice there. Yeah, keeping on our numbers here. Good gains.
Doesn't make a magical sight. 75-foot foiling monohulls racing each other on a glorious summer's day in Auckland City. Race 2, round robin 1 of the Prada Cup 2021, and all the chatter right now is about that boat and that team. Ineos Team UK couldn't bag a win in the World Series. They've already got the first point on the board.
Early days here, Nathan, but I'll tell you what, a lot of people eating a little crow right now when they counted Sir Ben out of this one so long ago. This is very impressive so far.
Yeah, copy that. Soft openers through the jibe.
It's a team effort, though, isn't it? It's a huge team effort.
Big move by him in between the races when we were interviewing him, calling out everything that has happened back in that shed, the long hours, the people who aren't in the limelight but certainly should get as much of the credit.
I know it's early days, but I just want to quote the late Sir Peter Blake about the America's Cup for this one reason, because of what we've seen from Ineos Team UK. And he says it's not a game for the person who's not prepared to come back.
Lord knows Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli has come back many a time.
One more down. Turning up here. 2, 1, up all the way into attack.
Ineos Team UK round the bottom gate for the first time. They were 15 seconds ahead of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli at the top gate. What will it be at the bottom gate? Well, I think we can assume comfortably if they've stretched their lead on the downwind leg.
Turning up. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Turning up.
22 seconds. So they've added 7 seconds on the downwind leg.
They did that really tough maneuver again. Tacking away from their competitor, Nathan. I mean, not your textbook match racing move, but they're just looking up the course, looking for wind shift.
There's good pressure over here.
More than they're playing their competitor right now.
Yeah, you could hear the chat going downwind. It was all about getting back to that right-hand side. They're sailing the wind. They're not sailing the opponent really at all.
Further, try and get into this. 3, 2, 1.
For those people who have done some match racing, it is a gutsy move to do what they did. You know, it's easier just to keep it close and stay right with, you know, stay between your man and the hoop, so to speak, as the old phrase goes. But it looks like it worked again, doesn't it?
It's a sign of a confident sailor, confident team, confident boat. If you just sail where you want it to go and not worry about the other team,
look at this.
They're confident today, aren't they?
I'm intrigued to know from you, then, Nathan, because they had huge problems with their foils in the regatta before Christmas. What do you think has changed? Because we know how important the foils are with these monohulls.
Well, I guarantee you tonight at the press conference, that's going to be the big question. What have you guys changed? And Ben will smile and say nothing. You know? But I think that they had some minor issues with those foils and they weren't working the way they wanted them to work. And I've said before, they're painted black now, but
they're
honestly,
smooth. We can't see these rivets anymore. You know, we used to see rivets all through this area and all through the area on the board. Oh, he missed it. He got me. And without those rivets, without all those creases, they just look like different foils. They just could be some sort of fairing mechanism.
Surely they have made huge changes to their foils, haven't they? Because they discovered they were having problems.
Yeah, about a couple of days after all the Christmas racing was over, they went out with cameras to actually have a look about what was going on, and they had massive amount of distortion in the foils. And I mean, a bit like sailing around with a bucket hanging over the back. You know, any kind of imperfection at that speed is massive. Also, those our viewers who actually watched the Christmas racing will have noticed water coming out of the foils, and they were taking in water. So they've solved that problem. They've dealt with all the distortion, and as we can see, made massive progress.
Luna Rossa is not making the error we talked about before. They're keeping it close and they're waiting for their spot. So let's not give the British boat this race right now. They're actually sailing quite smart and obviously plenty fast on Luna Rossa right now. They got a little right-hand side of the race course.
it was the first time that Ineos let a boat get to the right-hand side of them, and they made a loss. And you heard Jimmy Spittle say, oh, we made a little gain there. That potentially was just the first mistake we've seen Ineos make today. They had a big lead, so they could afford to give up a little bit. And sometimes, as sailors, we like to give up a little bit of our lead because there's another reason further down the track, like maybe they're trying to avoid an extra tack. But Luna Rossa is not going away, that's for sure.
Heading towards the halfway point in race 2 of the Prada Cup.
You heard Giles Scott just say, gain back to us again. Every time somebody gets to the right of the other, it appears they make a gain.
Well, Ken, aren't we lucky that there's a boundary up there and people have to keep tacking? Otherwise, it would just be one tack to the right-hand side of the course and no opportunities.
There is land there, though, eventually. Land wins over carbon fiber.
Approaching the top gate for the second time. The gap was 22 seconds at the bottom gate.
Okay, holding this course. Bearing away. 3, 2, 1, jet now. Good puff.
Ineos Team UK complete 3 legs of this second race in round robin 1. It was 22 seconds at the bottom gate. What will it be here? Have they made that small gain, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, that Jimmy Spittle suggested?
All the way, Keiko.
Copy.
No issue at the mark.
Copy, yeah. My right.
They've lost a second. They've lost 1 second of the upper leg.
They're struggling a little bit getting around these marks, though, aren't they, Nathan? That's what they talked about during the practice racing the other day. Yeah, there they are. They're struggling with control going around that weather mark. It looks like something might be really wrong this time.
To me, it looked like what they ended up doing there was they had to ease a bit of main sheet during the bear away. And once they got through the power zone, it was really slow to come back on. So the hull touches down, it's in the water. And that's why you see Giles Scott always tacking, sailing 10 seconds and bearing away. If you're trying to do a tack into a bear away, it's way harder of a maneuver than to tack, build, bear away. And Giles is sailing a really good course geometry race. And the boat behind, they're not finding any opportunities to get back into it.
That's why you call him the four-lane guru. That's what, that right there.
Pressure is all better inside here.
Correct.
Let us know when you think we can go back. That is intersection on the box. Think. Yeah, okay, set up. Happy. Crossing. Your hedge. 1, 2, ready. Board down.
That's Ben and Giles talking about the course geometry, using the software, and they're not really looking at the other boat at all, are they?
No.
Okay, breeze go back in 5. Give you a quick into this, Giles. Yeah, breeze building. Go that. Here we go. Working down. Okay, working down now. Nice. Nice there, good angle. Need a lower nose with jump. Yeah. Copy.
Stephen, we let these guys talk, but they're not going to need us any longer. This is brilliant, isn't it? To see the composure and the really articulate, quick bites on board the boat. Really good communication. Communication from a team that is in complete control right now.
Crossing. Happy to ignoring ley line here, Ben.
If you remember what they were like in the World Series, and they got caught, they dumped, they did everything, and it was like a team that had their heart ripped out with all this effort. We're talking 3 years of preparation and work to get to that point, and they almost would have lost. And suddenly, in the slight space of, what are we talking, 2-3 weeks? Look at what we're seeing. They are potentially going to be 2-0 at the end of the first day of the Prada Cup.
2-0 the right way as well.
Otherwise, well, I would have said 0-2 otherwise.
You saw the interview that Ben Ainsley made in our little feature earlier, and he was talking about just got to keep having gains, you just got to keep believing. It's amazing what can be done if you just keep working the incremental gains. You know, small gain on the foil, unlock something, small gain on the rig, unlock something, and you just slowly keep unlocking things. And if you sail well and your boat's going quick, you're eventually going to start winning races. And so far it's 2 from 2, but this race is still not over.
But holding, call it.
Not laying the bottom gate, so probably another jibe by the looks of it. Could be a big gain for Prada.
Now, turning. Take it. Okay. Cut out. Turning up in 3. In 2. Hang on.
Ineos Team UK around the bottom gate for the second time. It's the completion of leg number 4. At the top gate, they were 23 seconds ahead. Have Prada made any gains? Or have Ineos Team UK lengthened out? Here come Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli to complete the 4th leg. And it's still 23 seconds, so no gains.
So now comes the time where we've been talking about how patient they've been. Keep it close, wait for the mistake. Nathan, if you're out there driving this boat right now, when do you then, you got to take a chance sooner or later. So being patient all the way around the race course and following the person in and coming in second, that doesn't do you a whole lot of good. At some stage, well, this is a pretty big split. I guess if you're going to be looking for something to wing it here a little bit, this is a big split. Chance at a game, but we haven't seen a left-hand shift all day, but it's a chance.
Yeah, look at the timings on those gates, nothing in it. But right now, Kenny, the moment you've got to start hanging it out there. You've got to start getting some leverage. You've got, you've been following them the whole way around, and they're not making errors. They're tacking, they're jibing well, their ley lines are good, the course geometry is going really well for them. So you've got to do something different. Even if you think it's the wrong thing to do, you've got to start doing something different so that you can actually get some meters back and force a situation.
Let's head on board Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, and see what's going through their heads right now.
Okay, no lower, coming up a bit. Coming up. Okay. pressure straight ahead.
Okay, they take the last. Easy. Building. Easy.
Try to go a little faster here.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Good there. 200, this is average.
Francesco Bruni doing the commentating for us, talking about what he feels as he's steering on that left-hand side of the boat, how he feels and how, whether he wants to go into a fast mode or a normal mode or a slow mode. This is just, and also the positioning of the other boat is just to in the left-hand part of our screen. They tacked in line this time, did Ineos, and trying to control the race course a little bit more and not allowing for that big split.
So we have to go straight. Coming up.
Yeah. Trim.
Let's go here.
3, 2, 1, 4 down.
So now when they tack over, the roles will reverse and Jimmy Spittle will be driving the boat and you'll be hearing his voice a lot more, and Francesco Bruni will go quiet and he'll be focused on flying the boat, and you'll hear Pietro Sabello, the main trimmer, communicating with Jimmy Spittle.
2, 1, here it is.
Easy.
Good course geometry by the Reds right now, though. They tacked exactly in unison. So that is absolutely the old between your man and the hoop maneuver of match racing. Fans back home, British fans will be very happy. You start breathing a little easier when you see the other boat exactly on top of your competitor like this.
Yeah, considering if you're watching this in the United Kingdom, it's early in the morning, and you just love your America's Cup. Ineos Team UK have already bagged the first win of the Prada Cup round robin one, race number 1. This is race number 2. There are 4 round robins in this Prada Cup. The team with the highest amount of points at the end of the round robins goes directly to the Prada Cup final. And you've got to say, right out of the box, if Ineos Team UK get 2 points on day 1, the whole dynamic changes. Everybody's thoughts processes changes about the Prada Cup.
I called it. No, I didn't. I can't.
No one called this. Don't even.
Well, actually, someone did. Someone did call this today, and that was Shirley Robinson.
She did.
She did.
Shirley, did you really call this? Did you call this today? Be honest.
I did call this.
You did?
And I think there is evidence. What do we think here? Yeah, I mean, I guess I've seen Ben Ainsley come back time and time again, whether it's to win an Olympic gold medal or an America's Cup. You know, he was part of that incredible win by Oracle in San Francisco. You know, he can turn it on, and I guess I have a glimpse of how hard the team has been working, and just seen some hope in the team as well, that they had solved at least some of their speed issues.
Okay, powering up, no large spot, big power up. Okay, main on. Big main on.
Final leg for Ineos Team UK. There has been a gain made, though, by Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. But for the second race in a row, they lead the race home. Well, they've cut 10 seconds out of the lead.
They got a little bit on the right-hand side a couple times, sailed patiently, stayed on the right-hand side of the race course, and now they got a split. But, oh, look how light it is in that upper left-hand corner, Nathan.
Well, that was the mistake American Magic made twice in the first race. That left-hand mark just looks like it's sailing you into less pressure. And so every time you go over there, you're just committing yourself to a loss. So they make the gain, but then, as we said, you can't just keep following and wait for an error. You've got to create an opportunity for something, and it doesn't look like it's paid off for him at the moment.
They look the speeds of both the teams, sitting at around 39 knots on the final downwind leg to the finish of race number 2, round robin 1 of this Prada Cup.
They're in that kind of one mistake zone right now, though. This is not a foregone conclusion, right? One bad mistake by Ineos, and they're ripping by. So this is not over with, folks.
I think we need to go a little past it.
Pressure this side.
Getting lighter ahead.
Sounds like they're going to jibe and keep on this side of the race course. Going to the far boundary would be pretty high risk at the moment.
Sure would. And leaving that fresh side of the race course.
Catch this way.
I'm even surprised they gave him this much room out here on this bottom side of our television set, Nathan.
It's probably honestly looking at the software and trying to just get it in 2 jibes to the finish. Luna Rossi here now aren't going to lay the finishing line from where they are, so they've at least got 1 more jibe to go. So it's a balance of pressure and software, and hey, who are we to second guess Giles Scott at the moment?
That's for sure. They're not getting further away.
Cool.
You know, one sign, we keep saying one sign of a fast boat is a boat that gets behind and doesn't get further behind. They've got this gap pretty much all the way around the race course. So a couple strange mistakes from Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, and besides that, 2 similar boats.
Powering away at 40-odd knots, say 41 knots. They are really in the groove right now. Ineos Team UK heading towards the finish. Race 2, round robin 1 of the Prada Cup Challenger Series.
Now that looks like a big distance now.
Yeah, game over. They got to the right. They got back in the pressure. Nathan, their maneuvers, we've just never seen them this smooth. Something has drastically changed under the water to make these maneuvers so smooth, whether it's the software being used to trim the flaps, whether it's the actual foil shapes themselves, incredible.
Ineos Team UK have the perfect start to the Challenger Series. They are 2 from 2 and 2 points and go to the top of the standing. What a way to start this Challenger Series.
Yeah, we'll just stay high and slow here, just to make sure.
This is reset. I think that's a good sign. We'll just be sure of this, boys.
And Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, who were 13 seconds behind at the penultimate mark, will finish 28 seconds behind.
Stephen, I'm pretty sure they're not positive they just finished the race. They were just looking at their computer on how many laps they went. You lose it, right? You lose your mind sometimes and how many times you go around the race course. I think that was, we were told it was 3 times around the race course. I think these guys think it was, but I'm not so sure Giles Scott knew there for a second.
So Ineos Team UK, a 1 minute 20 in second win over American Magic, a 28-second win against Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli. Let's just have a quick listen.
Nice effort, boys.
Confirmation, round robin 1, race 2 of the Prada Cup. Ineos Team UK do it in just under 25 minutes, and the gap to Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli is 28 seconds.